Hey everyone, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we are actually talking about an anonymous 12-year-old girl. And the reason why is because she is suing TikTok for violating her privacy rights and therefore her civil rights. This is actually really interesting. Now, if you've watched me or listened to me in the past, you know that I have brought up multiple issues with TikTok and their multiple violations of privacy, whether their app is activating and looking basically at everything on your network, data mining you. It is owned by ByteDance Beijing, which is basically very deep ties to the Beijing government that has a requirement that they are able to data mine that app. There is a whole bunch of problems with TikTok and privacy. But today, we're talking about a plucky 12-year-old out of London, England, because quite frankly, she's suing. Now, here's an interesting article from Bloomberg, which is where I'm taking most of these notes. And obviously, I was looking for other sources as well, but I'm cribbing primarily from Bloomberg. Now, in London, a judge granted her anonymity so she can take TikTok to court over allegations that they violated the EU's strict data protection rules. This obviously was in motion before Brexit and carries over. Now, the judge, Mark Warby, said in a decision this past Wednesday that she, and I quote, intends to go to a court asserting, rightly or wrongly, that her privacy rights and those of others like her have been infringed in ways that call for a remedy. Now, the judge also said that not granting her anonymity could, and I quote, have a chilling effect on the bringing of claims by children to vindicate their data protection rights. That makes sense. We also have very similar laws here in the United States about how we identify minors when it comes to legal proceedings. Most of the time they are anonymous. Now, the Children's Commissioner for England, Anne Longfield, who actually is going to bring this case on behalf of this girl from London, said that she would basically, or the minor rather, would basically risk, and I quote, direct online bullying by other children or users of the TikTok app, as well as, and I quote, negative or hostile reactions from social media influencers if her identity end up essentially being known. And so according to that, the judge said that such behavior is reasonably foreseeable, quote unquote. So here we are. She has anonymity and can go ahead and sue TikTok. Now, the planned suit is at the very early stage, according to multiple sources, but the intended claim, and I quote, involves serious criticisms of what may be key aspects of the platform's mode of operations. TikTok, like many other platforms and apps, are free to you, which means you're the actual product, and what they're getting from you is data mining for whatever that is. Primarily advertising when you're looking at Facebook and Google, but with TikTok, it's going to be advertising, not to mention the data scraping and the deep involvement in gathering information that the Chinese government tends to have. Now, TikTok has already responded to this, and I quote, and this is a merger of two different quotes, quote, privacy and safety are top priorities for TikTok, and we have robust policies, processes, and technologies in place to protect all users and our younger users in particular. As this application was made without notice, we are considering its implications. Now, TikTok has obviously come under increased scrutiny in the European Union, essentially over children's data, not to mention TikTok in general, because of the GDPR in the EU, and TikTok is believed to be violating quite a bit of that. There are antitrust lawsuits going on for other platforms like Google here in the United States, but Google and Facebook and others are also being scrutinized in this way. TikTok is not alone in the EU under GDPR violations. Now, the chiefs of the GDPR in June pledged to coordinate potential investigations into TikTok, establishing a task force to get a better understanding of, quote, TikTok's processing and practices. Now, I think this is very needed. Here in the United States, if you didn't know, we have something called the COPPA, or Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, that essentially says you can't do things legally like get a Facebook account until you're 13 years of age. Some have argued that is obviously too young, and studies on, essentially depression, anxiety, suicidal tendencies, and all of that from age 13 to roughly 18 or 19, we've seen a massive spike that correlates with the rise of Facebook and other social media platforms. And so many people are rethinking the COPPA model But data privacy should begin essentially at the cradle and continue with the grave. And I think what we're seeing here is a transition around the world of essentially everybody waking up to the fact that, when we initially had Google and Facebook and all these other apps, it was great. We would share everything, not really understanding that the way they were making money is unlike traditional tech companies like Microsoft and Apple that are actually going to sell you things. You want to buy a copy of Windows, you're going to pay $100 to Microsoft. You want to buy an iPhone, you're going to mortgage your house and buy an iPhone. And that's primarily how they're making their money. But as we see these online-only companies start to emerge in the mid-2000s and really take steam in the 2010s, people really weren't necessarily aware that data mining was taking place at the level that it has. And since about 2017, 2018, with Cambridge Analytica breaking and others, we are starting to realize, or rather the most of the world has been realizing, something I've been talking about well before then, is basically how we're the product. And so this is, I think, a really good thing that we are seeing. I think TikTok overall, quite frankly, is a menace when it comes to data mining, privacy violations, and all of these things. And it deeply concerns me that essentially the largest surveillance state on the planet has very deep ties to TikTok and can gather all of this information. In the same way, the U.S. Justice Department actually pointed the finger at China, if you didn't know this, for the Equifax breach of 2017, which got everybody's personally identifiable information essentially hit. So these are problems that we have to face. I give this girl credit. Don't know her name, but if you are ever watching this, more power to you. I hope you have a very successful court date with TikTok and are able to prove your claims, and there we go. Because obviously we need proof. It's one thing to accuse. Evidence always has to go to court. It always has to stand up. That's how we make sure that we are on the right side. So by virtue of that, that is your news of the day. And go 12-year-old girl. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. And please stay away from TikTok. Thanks, guys.